Tyson Fury versus Dillian White. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the types of boxing games that each of these fighters has been playing in their more recent fights and likes to play with fighters of similar styles, and kind of see how they match up with each other just on the surface before they make any types of adjustments for the fight. So we're going to be taking a look first at Tyson Fury fighting a little bit of Deontay Wilder. And as we see here, the first punch that Tyson Fury, or the first part of defense that Tyson Fury likes to exhibit against his opponent here is a little bit of control. Okay, now it's not always safe to just go out controlling and reaching your hands and your tools out at your opponent, but as Tyson Fury takes a step back and his opponent punches at him, he likes to figure out where his opponent is, where his tools are going to be. Later in the fight, he's going to turn this into some really cool stuff and some countering, but in the beginning of the fight, again, when this jab comes, he likes to get his lead hand closer to his opponent so he can start setting something up off of this type of control. And then as the fight goes on, as we see here in the third round, after getting enough control and knowing where his opponent's head was going to be, he starts turning it into kind of a little bit of a left hook here, okay? Now, this is very, very, very important because a lot of fighters have this style of offense here as Dillian White comes forward, or Tyson Fury comes forward, or Deontay Wilder comes forward against Tyson Fury and gets his lead hand controlled by Tyson Fury's rear hand and then comes into position to be timed perfectly by this left hook here. Now, this is one of the boxing games that Tyson Fury likes to play, and he plays it off of his opponent's timing. As Deontay Wilder is pretty easy to predict when he's coming forward, boom, starts walking into big, big, big punches. Again, he didn't just stop throwing all those body shots for no reason. He started getting caught, and his head started getting picked up by his opponent. Now, again, lots and lots of opportunities here in the fight for Tyson Fury to do this to Deontay Wilder because of how predictable his type of offense was. Again, this is one of those classic boxing games that he likes to play to kind of wean you off of your offense, okay? So you can slowly start taking it away and taking away all of the opportunities that Deontay Wilder has to close the distance with his jab to set up his big right hand. Now, this is important for a few reasons. Well, number one, not this clip here. Probably not this clip either. So this is another defense one. We're going to be taking a look at that in a second. Okay, so it's all in here then. Here we go. So very classic timing here, right, from Dillian White. Not nearly as fast against his other, opponent, right, against Mr. Walk here. Not as fast as Deontay Wilder throws it, but the same style, right? 1, 2, 3. Now this is a very, very basic type of offense. Lots of fighters have it, which is why that skill for Tyson Fury is so valuable. Now expect Dillian White to have a little bit of success, very similarly to Deontay Wilder, but also expect that timing to be a little different from Dillian White, as Dillian White is a much craftier fighter than Deontay Wilder. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second, but that's going to be one of the skills, that timing and getting control of the lead hand and the rear hand, that's going to take away this style of explosive offense from Dillian White, as this is how Dillian White likes to go forward with his offense. Now, another boxing game, okay? Actually, we're going to take a look at some boxing games that Dillian White likes to play. Dillian White's favorite boxing game is the catch and counter. Here, finding an excellent left hook against his opponent as he kind of leans his weight toward the front foot, heel, knee, head, right? Getting his weight to the front foot here so he can set up a really mean left hook. And this is Dillian White's best punch, okay? And that's very, very, very important, because I actually think that Tyson Fury struggles with attacks on the inside. Although he got a lot of credit for being an inside fighter against Tyson Fury, or Deontay Wilder, I don't think he's actually an inside fighter at all, and I don't think he's very good at that stuff. And we're going to take a look at the film study and kind of talk about that too. But again, Dillian White liked to play the catch and counter style defense. Now, his opponent comes in with the 1, with the 2, he gets his head a little bit off the line, blocks most of the damage, and then comes back for an attack while his opponent's technique is stressed, okay? His opponent just made an attack, and even though this is not a great timing, it's a very, very similar style from Deontay Wilder, or from Dillian White. And then again here, catching the rear hand here, and then slipping to the front foot away from the right hand to find a left hook to the body. A really, really beautiful shot from Dillian White. Again, all on that kind of catch and counter style. Now, as his opponent proceeds himself to the ring or to the line and tries to get into a position to land some punches, he lets this shot go, and Dillian White's ready for it, coming here with this uppercut. A beautiful, beautiful shot. Very quick, very short. Tries to follow up with the right hand. And then again, same sequence, right? Catching this shot and then kind of pull countering after catching it to go over the top with this big right hand. Also, another landed punch. But again, catching counter style. So I want to point out, showing an opportunity to counter with the left hand catch and counter and then the right hand catch and counter, right, from Dillian White. Now, this is very interesting because Dillian White requires space after his opponent punches to land these types of attacks. Now, why is that important? Why is it very, very important? Because, well, as we saw against Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder didn't actually have very many opportunities to perform such techniques because of the fact that he was always getting tied up. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that here. Here's Deontay Wilder getting very similar, catch and counter, right? Position, getting control of both of those punches. But immediately after, Tyson Fury looks to tie him up and spoil the fight. Now, this is important because look at what position Tyson Fury is in after he throws this shot. His legs are straight. One leg is not even on the ground. It's shifting forward as he pendulums forward, right? And he has to spoil the fight because now he's out of position. Tyson Fury got a lot of credit in this fight for his inside fighting and for nullifying Deontay Wilder and all this stuff. But one of the ways that he did that in this fight was just by cheating. Okay? Blatantly cheating, holding, and hitting. Okay? Now we're going to close that last frame there. Here he comes in. Now, this is very interesting because, as you can see, he's ducking below this punch right here, right? And this is a very similar game that Dillian White likes to play, okay? Now, as we see here, he comes down low and he gets put in a headlock, all right? This is part of the style that Dillian White likes to use against taller opponents, kind of the shoulder roll style. We're going to take a look at those clips, but when your opponent puts you in a headlock like this, there's no more punches here for you, okay? You're not able to punch him anymore because he has all your leverage, okay? So here's Deontay Wilder trying to get some offense going. 1, 2, catches him with that shot. And then Tyson Fury comes back with an excellent 1-2 of his own, and then immediately doesn't even care what Deontay Wilder does. He just immediately starts grabbing at him and trying to hold him. Again, a very, very popular boxing game from Tyson Fury. Now, it's not like there are number one, endless opportunities for Tyson Fury to do this, but it's not like there aren't counters. There aren't ways to prevent him from being able to do this, okay? So Dillian White's going to definitely have some work to do, but the problem with this style is that eventually, again, like we saw with the counter punches, as we see he gets him in this headlock right here. Again, Deontay Wilder coming forward, trying to fight on the inside, and Tyson Fury just putting him in a headlock, pushing his head under his armpit. Very, very common tactic from him to try to wrap him into a headlock so he can't throw any more punches. But we're going to take a look at a bunch of those clips again, coming under that jab again, right here, and then tying him up and putting him in a headlock. And now, not only is he tying him up and putting him in a headlock because now he has control of him, similarly to the counter punches, but he's also starting to turn it into some offense. As we see here, he wraps him up, puts him in a headlock, and now he's going to throw the right hand to the body. It is illegal to hold and hit your opponent. I know people want to say that this is inside fighting, but this is blatant cheating. He actually gets warned by the ref right after this sequence not to do that. But spoiler alert, he doesn't listen, okay? Here he is. He just landed an excellent right hand against Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder wobbled. And Tyson Fury, again, does not like to box or stay on the line with his opponent. He immediately, after landing a huge punch, puts his opponent in a headlock and then punches him in the face, okay? Again, blatant cheating. Okay, this is not allowed. I don't care what you have to say in the comments. It's cheating. All right? And if Deontay Wilder, or if Tyson Fury is allowed to do this against Dillian White, he's probably going to kick Dillian White's ass. Okay? Again, landing another shot kind of behind the head, immediately lays on him. Now look what happens. Deontay Wilder has to go down. Tyson Fury has pushed all his weight below him, and now he's just leaning on him so that he can't maintain control of his own body, right? This is not boxing, you guys. This is blatant cheating, okay? In an attempt to get more value out of the clinch than he's supposed to. It's supposed to be for defense, right? And here he is using it offensively to drain his opponent. Now, one of the ideas here, okay? Dillian Whyte is not the fastest or the hardest punching, but he is able to catch you when you're not ready because you just made an attack yourself. You've just thrown a punch, and now he's looking to capitalize on your compromised technique, on your stressed technique. That's exactly what Tyson Fury is trying to avoid here, okay? He's trying to avoid all the opportunities that his opponent has to take advantage of his poor technique and get value out of them by leaning on his opponent, pushing them down. But he's also trying to get that same value that he would get by landing punches and breaking his opponents down on the clinch when it's illegal. They're not allowed to fight here, and he's using this tactic to stress his opponent's technique and to wear him down so that he's easier to fight and to knock out. Tyson Fury only gets away with this because he gets to compete in a division where he gets to be 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds heavier than his opponents, okay? He gets to be so much taller. This doesn't really work in fights when people are around the same size. You wind up compromising a lot of your technique trying to tie your opponent up, and then you just get knocked out. Eventually they catch you with a shot. But he's so much bigger than Deontay Wilder here. He's just lumbering and pushing all his weight onto him and controlling him, preventing him from throwing any punches. Here's a punch from behind the head, right? And then immediately ties him up, sits on top of him, okay? Now the sequence keeps going. Here, just to point that out, right? Real quick left hook on the inside from Deontay Wilder. Again, I don't think Tyson Fury is very good on the inside. And then immediately, boom, lands a punch, maybe, and shoves him into the ropes. Look at how Deontay Wilder is not even allowed to be on his own line, okay? Because Tyson Fury is pushing on him, right? Nothing necessarily wrong with that, right? Maybe, I don't know. But now he's got a hold of Deontay Wilder's head, and he's throwing punches and uppercutting him. Okay? Again, it starts off with just the headshot, right? Just the headlock. Then it goes to the body shots, and then he progresses it to holding his opponent's head down after wrestling him into this position, and then punching him in the face while holding his head. Okay? Extremely illegal, and something that he just continues to do, and one of the reasons why he gets so much credit for beating Wilder, right? Again, he found himself in this position, threw a fake left hook here, put his hand on top of his head, and now punching him in the face while holding his head down. So why is this so important? Okay, well, because this is all of the space that Dillian Whyte utilizes to land his own punches, okay? So we're going to take a look here. Dillian Whyte coming forward. Okay, we already saw that. We already saw this. Bad defense or bad offense. But here he is trying to get into a shoulder roll and get under these punches here. This is the opportunity here, right there, that Tyson Fury, after he gets you to duck, right? And he's ducking a little bit low. It's a little bit low here. But after getting into this position, this is the position in which he's going to find himself being tied up by Tyson Fury for a few reasons. Number one, Tyson Fury's not very good with his body mechanics. He over-pendulums, he over-jumps onto the line, and he crowds himself. And that's why he finds himself in those bad positions in front of his opponent, in front of someone like Deontay Wilder, who can't throw rounded punches, who can't throw hooks and uppercuts and stuff like that. He can only throw straight punches because he's over-penduluming. Now, if he's able to get a hold of Dillian Whyte's head, he'll be able to completely shut Dillian Whyte out of the fight. Dillian Whyte won't have nearly any opportunity to really land any counter punches because his head's going to be controlled, okay? So Dillian Whyte's going to need to make sure that he talks to his camp, catch, right? Try to roll the right hand. His opponent just kind of grazes him and misses mostly. Mostly makes him miss this left hook, and Dillian Whyte's able to slip to the front foot and then come back with a left hook here. Now, Dillian Whyte, again, is a catch and counter style fighter, but he's not the best at it. He's one of the best in today's boxing, right? But again, we're coming out of one of the weakest eras of boxing ever. No offense, Dillian Whyte. You're a pretty decent fighter. I mean, I always enjoy watching you throw punches at people. But there are lots of holes in his catch and counter style, as we can see here. Missing an opportunity to counter. Missing an opportunity to counter. Finally coming back with this shot. But Tyson Fury is already going to have control of Dillian Whyte's head. He's already going to be grabbing him, manhandling him, and trying to prevent him from being able to use that pull style, right? Again, here, this is when he's going to wind up being grabbed and caught by Tyson Fury, as Tyson Fury likes to, again, grab and hold and put you in headlocks. So, the boxing games, how do they favor? Who do they favor, and how? Okay, well, on the outside, I think that Tyson Fury probably has the advantage. If he can box with Dillian Whyte and keep him on the outside, use the ones and twos, he can stop Dillian Whyte from being very effective. He's got a few inches on Dillian Whyte. He's got some reach on Dillian Whyte. And Dillian Whyte's best punches are those big, wide, looping shots that you need to be a little bit closer to land. And on the inside, if all rules are fair, I give Dillian Whyte the advantage. I give him a massive advantage on the inside. And I would, in fact, if I knew for a fact that Tyson Fury wasn't going to be allowed to cheat and hold and spoil the fight and spoil all the opportunities that he's out of position, I would be picking Dillian Whyte to win this fight by knockout. I would be picking him to obliterate Tyson Fury. But I don't actually think that Tyson Fury is going to be penalized for this. But I do think that Dillian Whyte's coach watches my channel, and I do think that he's going to see this and have an opportunity to make sure that Tyson Fury isn't allowed to do this type of stuff, and that may give him the advantage, or give him at least enough opportunity in the fight to find some real big punches. So, let's see. I think that if Dillian Whyte is allowed to throw punches at Tyson Fury with catch and counter style, I think that Tyson Fury's defense is so poor that Dillian Whyte will annihilate him. But if Dillian Whyte is allowed to be held, if Dillian Whyte doesn't stand up and stop him from putting his head on him, right? Like one thing that I would say to do immediately, Dillian Whyte, okay? The first time that he puts you in a headlock, I say you punch Tyson Fury right in the fucking dick. Right in the dick as hard as you can, and just be like, well, I tried to hit him in the body, but he was holding my head down. That's exactly what I would tell him to do. And then if Tyson Fury does it again, punch him in the dick again. Okay? If Tyson Fury is going to blatantly cheat and get away with it because he's the A side, I think that Dillian Whyte should be using those reasonable types of cheating too. Okay? And again, it's all a scam, right? The A side always gets away with bending the rules because referees are so afraid to put a stand, to make a change in the way that fights go, right? Just look at Floyd Mayweather's career. He got to cheat and duck below the waist and do all kinds of dishonest boxing stuff his whole career. And it made it so that he actually never had to really box anyone, right? He would get to box easy people. Like when he fought Canelo, Canelo was green as hell. Canelo still beat the shoulder roll, right? And still stopped that ducking below the waist from being effective. But he got to fight someone whose boxing skills were not at the level of his, right? And I think that if Tyson Fury has to actually box with Dillian Whyte, I think that he's got too many holes in his technique. His overuse of the pendulum step, again, one of those things where he's constantly moving into his opponent. If he does that against Dillian Whyte, he's going to get annihilated. I think that Dillian Whyte will catch him with some shots. And where's that scene where Deontay Wilder lands a left hook? There's one of these clips in here where there's a left hook in here on the inside. Maybe it's this one. Nope, not that one. Is it this one? No. He just gets tied up and punched in the face right there. Not that one. Tied up and punched in the face. Again, illegal. Very, very illegal. But I do think that the left hook from Dillian Whyte is going to be super, super effective. Here's a good left. Oh, no, he misses it. He missed it right there. here, catching him kind of on the inside here with the kind of smacking left hook. But there's one of these scenes in which I thought he landed a pretty good left hook against Tyson Fury. There are some scenes in there where even though he doesn't have a good left hook, he does land them, and Tyson Fury is open. So anyway, I do expect it to be a very, very fun and interesting fight. I'm expecting it to be a knockout, and it can go either way. Tyson Fury's, got decent pendulum shots, but again, he kind of crowds himself. But again, I think that if Tyson Fury is allowed to cheat, he'll win, and he'll win by a landslide. But if he is not allowed to cheat, I'm actually giving the edge to Dillian White, the body snatcher. I think he's gonna really impress. I think he's really gonna take this fight seriously. And if he fights disciplined, like he fought against Povetkin in the second fight, he might make it look kind of easy too. No, I'm just kidding. He won't make it look easy. Tyson Fury is going to be tough to fight no matter what. Again, he's a very, very physical guy, right? A very, very physical guy. So he'll find ways to cheat and use that physicalness himself. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys would like the full fight film study, if you're still here at the end of this rambling, check out Patreon. It's $10 to sign up, $10 a month. And if you guys would like this in-depth look at your own training, your own technique, your own this, your own, right? Your own heavy bag work, double and bag work, shadow boxing, speed bag, your own jump rope. I can teach you how to get better and master all of those tools so you can become the fighter you want, okay? Anyway, thanks guys.